Hello, family. My name is Saleem, and I am a grateful, recovering addict. First, I'd like to thank the God of my understanding for blessing me with another day clean. And I am so grateful that because of the powers greater than myself, I get to celebrate 17 years and 36 days clean today. Yay. I would also like to thank Lawrence D. and the Stepping Into the Solution group, what a great name, for the honor of sharing on the second step. As a side note, I just met Lawrence last week when he just so happened to join a meeting that he hadn't attended in a while. And he heard his story and my story. And that's the beauty of Narcotics Anonymous. We get to share with fellow members from around the world our common experience, strength, and hope. So we ended up exchanging numbers, talking for a while after the meeting, and I knew from his joyful greeting that he was the kind of positive guy I wanted and needed in my recovery. And when he asked me to share on the second step, I was honored to give back what was freely given to me. And it just so happens that the second step is my favorite step. And I'll tell you why. You see, when I first came to this step, I wasn't praying, I wasn't meditating, and I definitely wasn't ready to connect with God. Not because I didn't believe in God, but because I was too ashamed to face Him. I was so full of shame and guilt for all the foul things I did to get the next one, I didn't feel worthy enough to ask God for help. The basic text, page 5 says, our spirit was broken. And elsewhere, it talks about how we had little or no self-worth. And that was me. You see, I had done some foul things in my addiction that stays with me until today. And one of the things that always stood out was when I stole from the donation box of my house of worship. Not just once, repeatedly. And the worst part is I didn't just steal from the house of God. I justified it. Here I am in the house of God where I just received some charity, and as I was leaving, I saw the corner of a dollar bill hanging out of the donation box, which caught my eye. And as I pulled it out, it turned out to be $100 bills, and I was off to the races. And I rationalized to myself, this is for people like me, homeless and hungry, and I need it more than they do. And that's how sick my thinking was under the grip of addiction. And I could steal money from donation box and actually tell myself it made sense. I wasn't doing any wrong. I was helping myself. See, the basic text, page 21, says, we had rationalized the most outrageous sort of nonsense to justify the mess that we made of our lives with drugs. That's exactly what I was doing. Taking something completely wrong and making it sit right in my mind. So after I smoked up all the money I stole, I came back to steal more. And I brought a tool that I could use to peel the dollars out of the box. Because one is too many, and $1,000 is never enough. But I was okay with that. I was okay with going back for more until I got caught, red-handed, with my hand in the cookie jar by the leader of my house of worship. I can remember that like it was yesterday. The shock of getting busted. The feelings of shame, guilt, and fear. How my religious leader would look down on me after all the financial help he just gave me and had been giving me in the past. Sadly, it was only when I got caught that the shame and guilt of what I was doing hit me. Before that, I didn't feel anything. That's how spiritually broken and disconnected I was. And on a side note, my religious leader didn't yell at me. He didn't scold me. He just pushed the money back into the donation box and gave me that look. That look of disappointment and disgust, just like that look my dad gave me 50 years ago when I got expelled from high school for selling joints. That shame on you look said more than words could ever. And that shame and guilt I felt didn't go away when I got clean. If anything, it got worse. Because now I wasn't numbing it anymore. And that feeling of shame and guilt may not ever go away. But it can, however, be arrested one day at a time with the help of you guys in this program, as long as I stick and stay in this process of recovery. So when I got to step 2, and people started talking about God, I wasn't ready. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel clean enough. I didn't feel like I could go to God and say, help me. But even though I wasn't praying, even though I wouldn't talk to God directly, I knew that God was speaking to me through you guys, by the things you shared there anyway, guiding and directing me on how to live clean and serene one day at a time. Deep down, I knew that God was speaking to me also through the literature, the program, the fellowship, my sponsor, and fellow editors like Lawrence. I came to believe that the life-saving, God-given program is all about one addict helping another is without parallel. And today, for this hard-headed, stubborn, still sick, but loving and caring addict, those words, one addict helping another, are not just words we say at a meeting to me. That's how God helped me, spoke to me, reached me when I couldn't reach him. And that's how step 2 began for me. We found a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity, because alone, on my own, I was unable to see my destructive patterns clearly. And you guys and the literature remind me, our higher power can be anything as long as it is loving and great, caring and greater than ourselves. So I'm grateful I didn't have to figure out all about God right away. And it's a blessing that the steps are in order. I just needed people in my life who I can come to believe in and trust that God will speak to me through them. And I am so happy and grateful that this is just a spiritual program and not a religious program. Because if it was a religious program, I probably would not have kept coming back after 12 years of relapsing and reusing. And though I'm told the program was derived from religious sources, the founders was wise enough to know that an addict like me needed something simple, without all the heavy religious dogma and jargon that would have ran me away. See, it's easier for me to understand that my disease wants me to suffer first, then kill me, instead of Satan wants me to go to hell. Or it's easier for me to accept my character defects instead of my wicked and evil ways, or my shortcomings instead of my sins. See, the literature teaches us that we are not bad people trying to become good, but we're sick people trying to get well. And for the first time in my life, when I came to these rooms and found the second step, I didn't feel judged. I felt like I had a chance. And that language, written so simple, helped me come to believe in a God of my new understanding. Not a punishing God, but a loving and caring God, a forgiving God, a God whose mercy far outweighs his wrath. And the crazy thing about it is, I already knew that. I had read that in the scriptures before. But my disease, which is rooted in fear, low self-esteem, gives me such a negative outlook on life that I can only focus on the feelings of shame and guilt, even when I was doing right. I still felt something was wrong, even when everything is going great. For example, just the other day, I'm in the middle of one of the greatest joys of my life, riding on the go-karts with my 6-year-old granddaughter Amira, and out of nowhere, that same foul, low-down, dirty, shame on you feeling hit me. Without any warning, without my permission, no memo. Yet that self-loathing, stinking thinking just showed up. All of a sudden, I'm stuck. Not because I did anything wrong, but because my thinking wasn't right. I was stuck like Chuck without a buck, with $1 in my pocket. If you don't know what that means, keep coming. You soon find out. And I remember thinking, wait a minute. I thought I had changed. You see, I was confused. And the literature says in the past, confusion is where I used to make my worst decisions. So, y'all all taught me it's okay to be confused. Sometimes. But it's not okay to stay confused. So what do? You know what I found out how to get spiritually unstuck and free myself from confusion? I got to bring God into the process. I'm sorry, I got to reach out and call somebody. So I call my sponsor. And if I can't reach him, I call another recovering addict. Because again, one addict helping another is without parallel. And again, that's just not a quote from the basic text to me. That's how God helps me, spoke to me, reached me when I couldn't reach him. And through that connection with others in my times of need, my thinking starts to change. And just like that, I'm brought back. Not by me, but by something greater than me. Back to sanity, back to gratitude, back to the moment, back to the present where I can enjoy my granddaughter again. So today I know, even when those old feelings show up, I don't have to stay stuck in them and suffer or sabotage the good I'm enjoying. Because step 2 gave me something I never had before. A power greater than myself that can bring me back to sanity, back to freedom from the wreckage of my past. And the SPAD reading for April 6th I just read the other day, it said, and I quote, when I stopped imposing limitations on my higher power, I started to see my HP everywhere. It's everyone and everything. It just is. Man, when I read that, I said, man, that's powerful. And he goes on to say that the bond we share with our recovering addicts, like the bond I shared with Lawrence D., is both simple and sacred. And today, step 2 isn't just something I read, or something I heard, or something I practice. It's something I live. Step 2 is about caring for my fellow members. It's the love I feel when I share a hug with another addict. It's the light that comes back into a newcomer's eyes when we connect on a shared experience. The SPAD reading then closes with this, and I'll close with this. These simple spiritual actions are at the heart of the program of recovery. I will connect with another member today and appreciate the simple spirituality in those connections. And finally, step 2 teaches me that I don't have to do this alone anymore, which is why it's my favorite step. I don't have to fight the good fight and beat this deadly disease of addiction all by myself anymore, which gives me hope, the core spiritual principle of this step. And then in closing, for real, I don't have to come to believe perfectly. I just need to believe just enough to reach out. And that's where the restoration of my sanity begins. My name is Saleem, and I'm a grateful recovering addict.